Yung yung food threshold, food poor sila. How much per day?
Monthly,
The 20 pesos.
so something like 64.
Anong amount para masabi na poor sila?
Food poor. Yeah, yeah.
Food poor sila. How much per day?
That's comes out to about 64 pesos per person.
So
Per
you're
day.
still using the 20 pesos per meal per day.
64 per day divided by 3
Per person.
per person.
Yeah.
So
Just-
21. So ganun
just-
din. When you compute poverty thresholds using an old number which is obviously not workable anymore, 20 pesos per meal, hindi totoo yung poverty your poverty forecast.
Super Pinas TV. Super Pinas TV. Super breaking news muna tayo mga kasuper. Usap-usapan ngayon sa buong bansa na kasya daw ang pagkain ng isang Pilipino na 64 pesos a day at 21 pesos per meal. Ayon kay Secretary Arsenio Balisacan ng National Economic Development Authority o NEDA sa ginanap na budget briefing sa Senado kamakailan na nasa 64 pesos daw umano ang kailangan sa pagkain ng isang araw. Biglang nagulantang ang buong miyembro ng komite dahil kung pagkakasyahin ng 64 pesos 3 beses sa isang araw ay nasa 21 pesos per meal. Ako naman mga kasuper, kinwestiyon din ito ni Senator Nancy Binay kung kasya ba ang 20 pesos para sa pagkain. Ayon sa mga netizens na dapat subukan ng NEDA na mabuhay ng 64 kada araw para sa pagkain sa loob ng isang taon bago magkaroon ng konklusyon na ang halagang iyon ay hindi nagpapahirap sa pagkain ng isang tao.
Kasya na ba ang 64 pesos na budget para sa kakainin mo kada araw?
Kung hindi ka gumagalaw,
Baka nga sa isang meal pa lang po kulang na po yung 64 pesos. Hindi talaga siya. Siguro pag ganun, ang ulam mo lang everyday itlog.
Sa kwento ng National Economic Development Authority o NEDA, sa budget na 64 pesos kada tao kada araw, hindi ka na maituturing na food poor o nagkukulang sa pagkain. Nasa 21 pesos yan sa bawat meal. Batay daw yan sa pinakamurang mabibiling masustansyang pagkain na iluluto sa bahay.
At ayon naman sa iba ay hindi pa kasali ang budget para sa tubig, kuryente at pamasahe. Ano ang reaksyon ninyo dito mga kasuper?
Madam Chair.
Highway problem.
Madam Chair, siguro can we just, kasi nga malapit na tayo mag-session, can we just request Yusek Capuna to submit yung status ng 45 projects? And then moving to another topic. Kay Sec Balisacan or...
Madam Chair, if I may just comment quickly on that, Madam Chair. As I said earlier, the basis for that report is actually comes from the report of NEDA submitted to Congress. So, nandiyan na ho yung mga details ng mga projects na being delayed at saka yung mga timelines. That's the ODA report as submitted to So nandoon lahat yung mga doon kinuha yung ng mga reporters yung
Okay.
yung data
Thank
na
you,
yan.
Sec. Sige, babalik ako. Moving on to another topic. Sec, are you still using the 20 pesos para to be classified as yung food poor? How do you classify yung food poor ka?
Can I just our food threshold, the food threshold that you're referring to the food threshold.
Yes.
That
Yung food threshold ho. Anong amount para masabi na poor sila?
food poor. Yeah.
Food poor sila. How much per day? Still 20. 20 pesos. Huh?
Can you get per day? 64. For as of 2023, Madam Chair, the the monthly food threshold for a family of 5 is 9,581 pesos. That's comes out to about 64 pesos per person.
So
Per
you're
day.
still using the 20 pesos per meal per day for a family of 5.
Yeah, it comes out to something like 64 pesos per person per day.
64 pesos per
Person per day.
person yung 64 pesos?
64
per day.
pesos per day
Per person.
per person.
Pero 3 meals ho yun, di ba? So
Tama.
parang lumalabas sa 20 pesos
So,
per
roughly,
person per day.
Yeah.
Per meal.
per meal.
Per meal.
Ah.
20 pesos. Sa tingin niyo ho ba that number is sufficient, yung 20 pesos?
The basket has not been changed for some time, Your Honor. Although it has the value of that basket has been adjusted for inflation. So yung adjusted for inflation na yan, we'll be revisiting I think it's due for revisit of that poverty threshold natin kasi medyo matagal na rin. More than a decade na yon since it was set, and I think that the changes in the economy warrant a revisit already of the threshold. But the reason we are keeping it constant in real terms after adjusting for inflation, Your Honor, is just to ensure that we are tracking properly the changes and allow us to understand whether our policies, our programs are working insofar as these are able to reduce poverty.
But Secretary, there's certain things that need to be constant, but there's certain things that have to be adjusted because when you compute poverty thresholds using an old number which is obviously not workable anymore, 20 pesos per meal, hindi totoo yung poverty your poverty forecast.
Yeah, let me clarify that, Your Honor. The amount in terms of peso has been adjusted for inflation. Meaning, if the basket is rice plus some variant, the value of that in 2010 or 2010, kasi may inflation na after so many years, that is accounted for na value inflation.
So yung 20 po adjusted na yan for inflation?
Adjusted na yun ho. Every time that we calculate a new poverty number, we adjust it for the inflation. Actual inflation yun ho.
So last year, ano yung per meal ninyo? Magkano?
It's yan nga ho, sa 64 pesos per day per person.
So that's 64 per day divided by 3 per person.
Yeah.
So
Just-
21. So ganun
just-
din.
Just to ensure ho, yung 2021, that was 55. In 2024, 2023, it was 63, and then by 2024, that's expected to go up to 67 or so. Admittedly, with the growth of the economy since 2010, this was the last time that basket was determined by a combination of agencies, the Department of Health, the FNRI, the Food and Nutrition Research Institute. Sila ho ang nag-determine ng basket na yon and what constitutes a reasonable food basket that could meet the nutritional, particularly calorie requirement ho. So hindi naman NEDA ang nag-invent yung basket na yon. It's the FNRI. And then linagyan lang ng presyo.
And dun ho sa basket na ho yun, pasok sa 20 pesos.
Ngayon ho, yung per meal ho,
Yes.
kasi napaka basic, very basic lang talaga yung basket. Ngayon, of course, with the growth of the economy, as I said, maybe we should revisit that because preferences could have changed already. The relative prices have changed. Kasi nga nakita natin yung price of rice inflation there has been over 20% for the last couple of months. No? So obviously, doon lang talagang ubos na yung 20 pesos per
Yes. Tapos, Sec, sa poverty threshold, ano naman yung parameters?